I thought my 20-year marriage was unshakable until the night I found Sarah, my wife, exchanging intimate texts with another man. My heart sank, but I confronted her calmly, expecting guilt or tears. Instead, she sighed and said she needed freedom. I spent the night in silence, hoping my mother, whom I trusted deeply, would support me. But when I told her everything, she shocked me beyond words. Instead of anger at Sarah, she defended her actions, claiming, "The kids are grown. Now, let her live for herself." My world shattered in that single painful moment. I couldn't believe my ears. "Mom, she cheated on me," I said, my voice trembling. But my mother, seated calmly at the kitchen table, barely looked up from her tea. "You've had her tied down for 2 decades, Saad," she said coldly. "Maybe she deserves to live for herself now." My chest tightened as anger boiled inside me. How could my own mother take her side? I felt betrayed not just by Sarah, but by the one person I thought would fight for me. That night, the three of us sat in silence, and the house no longer felt like home. The next morning, Sarah dropped the final bombshell. Over breakfast, she confessed that her freedom wasn't about soul searching. It was about another man entirely. "I love him," she whispered, avoiding my eyes. My hands trembled as I set down my coffee. Our kids were grown, yes, but our marriage was built on trust, on promises we made when we were young. "Then leave," I said quietly. "But don't expect me to make it easy for you." She thought she had my mother's support, which meant she believed she could walk away unscathed. That was her first mistake. Hoping for comfort, I turned again to my mother, but she doubled down. "Saad," she said sharply, "if you make this ugly, you'll destroy the family." Her words cut deeper than any of Sarah's lies. I realized she wasn't neutral. She was firmly on Sarah's side. I'd always been her dutiful son, the one who stayed close, supported her financially, and cared for her after Dad passed. But in her eyes, Sarah was the victim, and I was the villain who kept her trapped. That betrayal from my own blood lit a fire in me I never knew I had. I didn't scream, I didn't beg. Instead, I withdrew into silence, channeling every ounce of my anger into planning. Over the next few months, I rebuilt myself quietly. I expanded my business, liquidated certain investments, and moved my assets into my name only. I stopped funding my mother's expenses without telling her, and I ensured that Sarah couldn't touch a single rupee of my company's profits. I acted like nothing had changed, but behind the calm facade, I was preparing my revenge carefully, one that would leave both Sarah and my mother speechless when the time came. One evening, Sarah stormed into my office, her lover waiting outside, in the car. "I've decided to file for divorce," she announced, her voice dripping with entitlement. "I want half of everything." I leaned back, smiled faintly, and said, "You'll get what's yours." She mistook my calmness for defeat, flashing a victorious smirk before walking away. What she didn't know was that every asset, every property, and every rupee she thought she could claim was already secured beyond her reach. She had chosen betrayal, and soon she'd discover the price of her so-called freedom. 2 months later, we stood in court. Sarah, dressed elegantly, looked confident, while my mother sat proudly behind her. They expected me to crumble under pressure, but when the documents were presented, Sarah's face turned pale. The company? Solely mine. The properties? Transferred months ago. The bank accounts? Untouchable. Her lawyer turned to her in confusion, but she couldn't speak. My mother's expression shifted from smug to stunned. For the first time, I looked directly at them and said, "You wanted freedom, Sarah. Congratulations. You have nothing tying you here anymore." Silence filled the courtroom. Sarah moved in with her lover shortly after, but paradise didn't last. Within months, he left her for someone else, and she returned, broken and bitter, begging to talk. I refused. My mother called, pleading with me to forgive her, saying she made a mistake. But I remembered her words clearly. Let her live for herself. So I let her. I cut all financial support, moved into a new home with my kids, and stopped answering calls from both of them. It wasn't cruelty, it was peace. I had chosen myself over the people who betrayed me. With Sarah gone and my mother distant, I poured myself into my work and my children. My bond with them grew stronger than ever. They saw my pain, but also my resilience. I bought a new house overlooking the sea, one filled with laughter and trust instead of lies. For the first time in years, I felt free. Not the kind of freedom Sarah chased, but the kind that comes from rebuilding after destruction. Slowly, I found happiness again, one brick at a time, until the scars of betrayal became reminders of my strength instead of my pain. Years later, Sarah approached me on the same beach where we once spent family picnics, tears in her eyes. She whispered, "I made a mistake." I looked at her, calm and distant, and replied, "So did I, when I trusted you." My mother stood a few feet away, silent, regret written across her face. I smiled faintly, holding the hand of the woman who stood beside me now, my new wife, someone who truly valued loyalty. I didn't need to scream, didn't need to punish them. My happiness, my success, and my peace were the revenge they never saw coming.